Hi, I had something to say earlier and then I forgot it, so we're just gonna go with that.
Don't threaten me with a good time. Don't say it. I can't help it. I'm in a constant state of flux,
He's manic.
like Jim Carrey or Jim Butcher, Jeff Goldblum. I can't help what I do. Ooh,
That one is
Does,
being saved for posterity.
does that mean you're ready, Kelso?
That's the
Calm
kind of house
down. She's
environment
his
I
wife,
want to
not
be in.
yours.
We're working on the polyamorous relationship, Jesse. Get off our backs.
I called
There's a
dibs
pun in there.
a long time ago.
But
Shatters against the wall behind you. You just hear the cackle from the living room.
oh gosh.
It's going to be an interesting night.
It's gonna be something,
right.
all right.
I'm in a mood tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
What? Oh, I'm gonna say that wrong.
Rakshasa.
Y'all are gonna suffer for it.
So, who would like to give me the recap?
I can do that. Liberty returned to Darian's house. She and Zafira were suffering infections from the Otyug bites, but she was able to restore them, removing the disease. Darian took Rain on an errand and tried to discuss with her his plan to stop treating Rain and Zafir like slaves in public, but Rain discouraged him from such a plan, worried that it might bring negative attention and or risk to them. And she would prefer to keep this current status quo until she sees more evidence of the culture changing. Rin left out the cloak of protection for Liberty with a note saying that it is most important to keep the healer alive. Rin and Liberty had a bit of a conversation. Liberty apologized for snapping at him the day before. He gave her some advice. Then when Darian and Rin came back, Liberty tried to establish like some team agreed upon boundaries of when it is or is not okay to kill someone. And most of what the guys gave her was you kind of make the decision in the moment. And while she was not particularly satisfied with it, she eventually dropped that matter, and the group decided to reach out to Keeper Najin about a job that would be more directly impactful as to freeing slaves or helping those in need. And when they went to a scheduled meeting with Najin, we were interrupted by a messenger saying that the head of Heaven's Tower wished to meet with all of us. And so we were led to a very lavish, gigantic estate in the entertainment district on the Emir side, where we got to meet Govid Hamidi, the demon of Heaven's Tower, who turns out to be a tiger man with backwards hands. And he offered to have us work more closely with the Heaven's Tower. Mostly just wanted to hear what we wanted. It was unclear. And Liberty was very non-committal. Rin pretended to get drunk. Darian and Liberty basically said that they were interested in helping free slaves, but they weren't necessarily interested in everything else that Heaven's Tower had to offer or was about. And then we left.
Anyone have anything to add?
I do. My question actually is for Forge. Was she had said that you had pretended to get drunk? Was it that you pretended to get drunk, or was that you were just pretending to drink it and dump it into the plant? To
Yeah,
just
I did
make
not
it-
pretend to get
Well-
drunk. I just pretended to drink Kronk style.
Fair enough. He pretended to consume large amounts of alcohol while consuming none.
Yes, Rin's paranoia is prodigious.
That's what I thought the reason was. Okay.
Reasonable when in the court of a giant tiger man with backwards hands.
Kitty!
Love you too,
All right,
bad kitty.
then. Let's get jumping back in then.
No, don't do
As
it.
you guys are escorted from the lavish grounds of Govid Hamidi, the demon of Heaven's Tower, Keeper Najin walks with you out of the gate, and exiting from the grounds, she turns to you all and says, "Well, if you're going to be working on a more permanent basis with Heaven's Tower, I will be certain to make sure that the proper arrangements are made."
Liberty just sort of nods in acknowledgement.
I have laid on a job against the slave traders. I have a few of them. I have to compile my notes. I should have something ready for you by tomorrow if you all are up for it.
Sure. What is the job?
I will have to put some numbers together to make sure that I am using you most efficiently. You are my only team that I am able to use in this specific area at the moment. But with
Seems sus, but okay.
the High Keeper being more vocal about his intentions on this, I may be getting more resources very soon.
I see.
In any case, would it be more convenient for me to come to your home, or would you like to meet me at my place?
That is fine. Sure.
That was not a yes or no
Did
question.
not pick one.
You're very bad at this, Darian.
Sorry, it's
We
been
would
a while.
love it if you would come by and pay a visit.
Yes. That is what I say.
I will be there around late morning.
Very well.
Have a good night.
Good night.
To you as well.
She and her guards begin walking off. It is late. The sun is setting, and you guys are in the entertainment district. You got about an hour walk before you get back home.
I would like to stop off in the mercantile district and get a few things.
Okay.
Like to get a very simple, sort of nondescript blanket that I can wrap up my snail shield in, so it's less noticeable and eye-catching when I'm just carrying it around. And then I would like to get a large amount of food that can be eaten as is and is fairly easy to distribute. It's about time
All
I
right.
paid a visit to some old friends on the other side of the river.
All in all, you're probably looking around 6 copper pieces.
Easy enough.
Rin is juggling knives.
Okay. Is Liberty breaking off from the group, or are you all going to the mercantile district?
I was debating about it, but no.
That was not a yes or no
Again,
question.
not a yes or no question.
Pick one.
I thought that answer was clear. No. I'm sorry.
Are you going
I am
with
going home.
Liberty?
We are
You're
not.
going
I am
home,
not
okay.
accompanying.
There we go.
I am not accompanying her.
Fair enough.
There you
Rin's
go.
going with.
Okay.
All right.
Appear to have had a stroke today.
Apparently. Too much Hollow Knight.
That's okay. You can't be a quasi genius all the time. Sometimes you have to be Ezekiel.
Anyways, you are able to find some things that match your descriptions that you're looking for, and it takes you about like 15 minutes.
All right. Wrap up the shield so that it just kind of looks like another nondescript piece of equipment, I guess. That sounds really awkward, but another bag or bedroll or whatever.
You know, if you just asked, I could just illusion it to look like a normal shield.
I'd rather not.
You know, with magic. You know
It
how
is
magic do?
It is a kind offer, thank you, but I'd rather not draw attention to it being a shield at all. It's not
So instead, you want it to look like a shield-shaped bag?
just another bag. I'm not going to be visiting anyone who really cares to see more weapons and armor.
So I should hide these. And he's holding all of his daggers like Wolverine claws.
Just picturing he's like pulled them all out. Oh, these things that I had concealed on my person. I suppose I should conceal them on my person. If you are planning on staying anywhere near me on this errand, then I would prefer that, yes, if you would keep those out of sight.
They appear to vanish, as does his sword.
Fair enough.
This item has been unequipped.
Oh no,
As
the
it-
sword is not equipped. It can be summoned at a whim.
Okay.
The rest
got
of
it.
them are just hidden on his person. Gather up the food and head back across the river to
All right.
visit some old friends.
All right. And you are in fact following Rin.
Yes.
All right. Liberty takes you down around the inner wall, crossing the river and making her way towards the temple district. Which shrine are you frequenting today?
So, I mean, Amada is where I usually just go to check in.
Mhm.
But I'm going to where the larger groups of urchins and beggars that I've normally checked in with tend to congregate.
The most popular place for most of them is the shrine region of both Hama and Gita, which are in their own little marketplace almost area, standing on either
that
end
is where
of
I'm
a
heading.
cleared area. All right. You make it to the temple district and find the small little cleared patio almost of that has been set aside for the worship and recognition of Hama and Gita. Down there, you do see some figures. The sun has definitely fully set by this time, and you watch as some of the Sultan's guards do make patrols around. You see, you would recognize Chipper, a halfling boy with brown shaggy hair that falls loosely about his head, sits at the base of the obelisk that is dedicated to Hama. He sits on a small blanket with a bowl or two in front of him, seeming to be begging for alms.
I'll come, sit down next to him, pull out a bag of dates. Hey, Chipper. It's been a while.
It has, Miss Liberty. Where have you been?
I've been making some friends here and there and seeing where the light takes me. I brought you some dates.
I appreciate it. Are you here to tell stories? Because I know where a few of the others are if you wanted to, I don't know, have a night like old times.
I was hoping to share a few stories if you guys still want to hear them.
He'll stand and brush off his pants and say, "Give me one moment. I'll be right back." And he dashes off. A few minutes later, you hear the running of feet as a small half-elven boy dashes through the courtyard towards you both, focusing his attention on Liberty. He appears to be of semi-elven blood, most likely some sort of half-elf. And behind him, he also appears to be like 6 or 7. Behind him, a female child of approximately 3 years age older walks up behind him, also half elven. The boy says, Miss Liberty, you're back.
I'll start reaching into my bag, pulling out some more food for all of them.
Behind the two of them, you see that Chipper is leading by the hand a young man of about 16 or 17 years of age, darkened brown skin, and copper-colored hair. The bandages over his eyes and the stick that taps on the ground in front of him signifies him as blind, and he's being led by the hand by Chipper.
Jezban, it's been too long.
Miss Liberty, Chipper said that you made it back.
Yes, I'm sorry for being away so long, my friends, but I've brought treats for everyone.
You better have, says Chipper from your knee, and begins kind of digging around in your sack to see if there's any more food.
Chipper, you know better than to look in my bag.
He abashedly sits back down on his blanket and starts chewing on the dates that he's given.
And after my pulse slows down just a little bit from that, I'll start passing out more figs, dates, nuts.
They all take them appreciatively.
Well, it's been a very long time, it seems like. What sort of story should we start with tonight? A new one or an old favorite?
There are a few voices speak at the same time. It seems pretty split, but Shizban, who sits in the back, kind of leans forward and says, I've been in the mood for an old favorite, if I'm going to be honest.
Really? Which story would you like to hear again, Chesban?
Oh, anything that's familiar.
Perhaps the Bandit Princess?
Moti, the younger of the two half-elves, just kind of nods very ferociously.
All right, then. The story of Princess Perezad, who became the Bandit Queen. And so Liberty will start to weave a tale as she's speaking. She'll pull out her lyre and just kind of provide some light instrumental in the background, weaving a tale about 3 siblings, 2 brothers, and a sister who were born to a sultan. But they were born to his wife while the sultan was away fighting a war. And when he received word that his wife had given birth, the evil hag that served as in disguise as a nursemaid lied in her letter and said that there was some sort of witchcraft that caused the sultana to give birth to a dog or a cat or a piece of wood. Now, some would say that perhaps the Sultan was very foolish to believe these letters, and I will leave that to you to decide. But remember that hags are very crafty. They know magic very well. Instead of giving the children to the Sultana to raise, the evil witch put them each in a basket and sent them down the river, where they were found by a gardener who raised each of the children as his own, since he could not have any children. And they grew to be very bright, handsome, and beautiful children, very intelligent, very kind, very loyal to each other above all else. But they heard word of enchanted items that would make their father's garden the splendor and the envy of all who had heard word of it. And so, one by one, the princes set off to look for the singing bird, or the speaking bird, the golden fountain, and the singing tree. But one by one, they failed, falling for a curse that was put around the mountain where these objects were hidden. Any who gave in to temptation to run in cowardice or to fight in foolish wrath would be turned to stone. And soon both brothers had joined the myriad of young princes and nobles who had tried to attain these magical items. When the princess heard word that her two brothers had failed and were now trapped under a curse, she disguised herself as a man, to be protected on the road, of course, and set off to look for these items. She met an old man on the side of the road who begged her not to follow in the footsteps of all the nobles who had failed before. He worried that a gentle princess like herself was too sweet a thing to be lost to the world for such a fool's errand. But she insisted out of loyalty to her brothers and courage of heart and a deep wisdom in her soul. And she was also very crafty. Rather than listen to the voices of the mountain that tried to scare her into running away or to lure her into fighting, she stopped up her ears with cotton. She could still hear their voices, but not so great and loud that they were enough to overcome her strength of will. When she reached the top of the mountain, she went first to the speaking bird, who had wisdom above many other animals. When she captured the bird, she demanded that he share his wisdom on how she could save her brothers. He told her of a magical pitcher of water that lay not that far from his cage. If she were to put a drop of water onto a statue of stone on the mountain, it would turn back into the man it once was. The princess, of course, had come too late to know which stone statue was her brother's. And so she went down the mountain, dropping a bit of water on each statue until they had all turned to men. Last of all, she found her two brothers. And when she had them restored to her, she had this cage of the singing bird under one arm, a branch from the singing tree in her other hand, and a pitcher of water from the golden fountain. Having restored all the young men to life, they, of course, were very grateful, and this army of 40 or so noblemen and princes swore loyalty, telling Barazad, "You have saved our lives. We are now your humble slaves and servants." Now, Barazad had come for her brothers and for these magical items. She could easily have accepted their gratitude and returned home, but she was far too crafty. And she saw a much greater opportunity than to simply have a nice house in the city. She saw an opportunity to do more. So she accepted their vows of servitude and told them to join her as fighters and warriors in the desert. They say that on the far side of this Speaking Bird's mountain, she found a cave And there she planted her own tree and her fountain and made a lavish garden. But she knew there were too many greedy and evil nobles, rich men who stole from those who could not afford it, merchants who cheated all of their customers. And so she and the princes and nobles she had saved became a fierce group of bandits, 40 thieves led by the Princess Perazad, who wander the world, striking at greedy merchants and arrogant nobles, stealing their treasures to keep in their cave. Do any of you think you'll ever find this cave of treasures?
As you look up from your tail, you see that Moti, the young half-elf male, has fallen asleep in his sister's lap. Chipper has fallen asleep in yours, and Shizban just kind of sits there, rocking slightly back and forth as he listens, completely oblivious of the fact that most of the others have fallen asleep. Meshi just kind of smiles at you and says, "It is a good story."
I like this story very much. It was a good choice. Just bound to do an old favorite.
You always tell them well, Miss Liberty. Tell us though, who is your friend?
As soon as she showed up and started talking to people, Rin has vanished.
Oh, okay, never mind then. What has Rin been up to?
Rin has been watching while sort of wandering around the place, sort of shifting as he goes. So he's still hard to pin down. Just sort of listening.
Okay.
People watching, for lack of a better word, while listening to her interactions.
This is definitely a maternal scene that you find yourself having been a part of, more or less. Everyone here seems to trust Liberty a lot. The familiarity is that of people who've known each other for a good long while.
Good shit.
I will amend what Chesman said then. Are you staying long, Miss Liberty?
I can stay for the night at most, but there is someone who needs my help on the other side of the city, and I will need to go and visit them in the morning.
You won't be staying away for too much longer after tonight, right?
I don't think so. I'll try to be back. If not every night, almost every night. I've missed you all.
Well, Edge Meshi strokes Moti's hair as he lays completely out in her lap. I know Moti's missed you quite a bit.
You haven't been getting into too much trouble while I've been gone, have you?
Only a little. Is there anything else you would like to do that night?
Not really. Check in with the kids. She'll probably whisper little prayers of protection over them as they sleep, and especially like good dreams.
Mm-hmm. From your perspective, Forge, the group ends up standing after a little while and moving out of the open to a small little alleyway close by where it's very evident that a good amount of these vagabonds and urchins have been living.
I see.
There are a few more people in there, none of which really pay much heed or attention to the small group as they come in and find their places of rest.
Do I see any thieves' cant around?
Make a perception check.
Perception. Don't fail me now. 16.
Looking around, there's a decent amount of general graffiti on the walls. People have scratched characters of this and that pretty much everywhere. This appears to be a low maintenance area. You do at some point in time find a symbol that for most thieves would mean open for hire. It sits above an old man who lays curled up in several sacks. You can see partially through his open mouth that you can hear massive amount of snoring from. He is missing like most of his teeth.
Okay. I'm trying to restrain my Rin's impulse to like lean down and sort of slowly poke his finger in and out of the guy's mouth a couple times. But whether he does that or not, at some point he definitely wanders to the opening of the alley and scratches the thieves' can't symbol for Haven in front of it.
Understood. You're able to scratch it into the nice sandstone there. Liberty just sits watching over the small group that is kind of all piled in a cuddle puddle in the middle of the alleyway.
Do I see anyone with any like recent wounds? Anyone who's gotten hurt recently?
You'd see probably the odd abrasion, just very minor stuff. Everyone here seems to be doing relatively well as you can for living in an alleyway in the desert.
Got several first level slots yet. The children are all asleep. I'll just gently pat some of them and whisper a little prayer and cure a couple wounds.
Okay.
It's definitely a little overkill for like,
Yes, yes,
scrapes
it
and
is.
stub toes, but I don't care.
Fair enough.
Are there any like clothing items left unattended?
For the most part, most of these
Specifically
people
within the alley.
Yeah, most of these people in the alley keep their possessions very close to them.
Okay.
There are, you see a lot of clothing items that are like half hanging out of sacks and bags that people either are cuddling with or have just very close to the persons. You could take some of it, but you'd be
I'm not
stealing
looking to.
from
I'm
the
not
poor.
looking to take.
Okay.
Rin has happened upon the OG Santa Claus idea.
Oh no.
If there happen to be like boots or something hanging out, he's just going to slip a gold coin into a boot.
I'd say you'd find most of it's sandals, unfortunately.
That works. Boots,
but yeah,
socks,
no, you'd see
boots, socks, a spare pocket, something like that. Just like
you'd find
people lying around are not really paying much attention. He's gonna slip a gold coin into something.
You'd find a handful of things. You'd probably be able to spend 7 gold here.
Dope.
Are you doing this?
What kind of sleight of hand roll would I have to roll to A, do that, and B, slip it onto the rest of the people who aren't paying attention?
You would need a sleight of hand check for the people who just aren't paying attention.
Alrighty.
Liberty is also distributing a silver coin to like each of the sleeping children.
Okay.
Which
I do believe that's only
that
4.
one she's
With the power of God and anime on my side, I have rolled a natural 20.
Of course.
Rin is Santa Claus.
I will say
I am
then,
Santa Claus.
all in all, you're probably losing 20 gold on this.
That's doable. That's all my gold, but that's doable.
There are about 20 individuals in this hallway. But yeah, each one of them now has a shining gold coin. Which for people like this, they can make that last.
Yep. Rin's very aware.
In the alley where we're at, do I see any sign of Niesha and her 3 kids?
Not in this alleyway. She tends to
Okay.
be. She tends to frequent the Temple of Sultir, more or less.
Mhm.
She has a few acquaintances among the clergy there, and they tend to have a nice-ish spot for her.
Out of curiosity, is Ajmal there?
Ajmal is, in fact, the gentleman who
The
lays in the fetal
Snoring
position,
really.
snoring really loud.
Yep.
You can
Okay.
recognize him because his big bulbous nose pokes out from around the clothing that is kind of bundled up around his neck.
With that nat 20, can I slip the gold coin into his mouth?
Under his tongue,
Yeah,
not
under
over
his tongue, so he
please.
doesn't choke on it.
Don't
Beyond
gift him with
all
kindness.
odds, yes.
Hell yeah.
He will be experiencing diarrhea for the next 3 days as he is ingesting minor amounts of gold.
That's not how gold works.
That is exactly how gold works.
Really?
That's not
Why
how
do you
gold
know
works.
this?
I'm
Yeah,
joking.
I was gonna say that's not how gold works.
Why do you know this?
But he made you question.
Actually, I'll tell you how I know this. If you ingest gold, it will give you bad diarrhea. And the reason I know this is because when Moses ground the golden calf and put it in the Israelites' water supply, the result of that was them having diarrhea for months.
Yeah, but was that the power of God or the power of gold?
That was the power of
Yes.
gold. It's a chemical thing. Gold will mess with your system.
If it was silver, it wouldn't do anything wrong.
Right. Don't ask me why I know that.
Well, it's
I
not. It's
don't remember
the
he's not
cause.
really ingesting it, so he'll be fine.
Yeah, he's fine. I was more joking.
How dare you make jokes on
sorry.
a D&D podcast? How could you?
The worst.
How dare you?
So after I'm done distributing healing and coins to all of the kids, I'll just sit back and pull out my
Reader's Digest.
scripture journal.
Okay.
Spend some time reading and praying. Like I do.
Okay. Rin, what's your plan?
Rin has been fully occupied with this delightful pastime he's just discovered.
Oh,
Fair.
gosh.
Fair.
He is deeply enjoying finding the trickiest ways to drop a coin on someone that he can.
Please tell me you tucked one behind someone's ear.
Oh, for sure.
For sure. With the nat 20, yeah.
Oh.
About 35 minutes, 45 minutes go by of you entirely entertaining yourself.
Absolutely.
Before you're out of gold and out of bodies to put gold on.
Rin probably reaches into his coin purse and then spontaneously look like a kid who's reached the end of one of those little bubble containers.
Uh-huh.
It's like, oh, no more bubbles.
I'd be willing to bet that if you found someone with curly enough hair, you probably would have tried to like stuff it in the hair somewhere.
Might take him a while to find that one.
So Rin is now going to preoccupy himself using magic to create glowing designs on the wall.
Okay.
Nothing special about him, just like artwork.
Okay.
I would actually like. I'm gonna roll some sort of check because I actually don't know how good of an artist Rin is. So this is gonna sort of set the trend. Performance. So he might be a passable artist.
Yeah, this is definitely a charisma thing.
That is an
he
18
has
plus 2, 22.
Hey, that's not bad. It's good art. It's a little abstract, a lot of shapes, curls. The desert winds would kind of make you think of a lot of the designs that are thrown up there. But yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, it probably looks more tribal than anything else.
Yeah, probably. Where is Rin planning on sleeping?
Batman style on a roof somewhere.
Fair enough. If there's nothing else from those in the alleyway.
What is Batman style sleeping?
Nope.
Dare I ask?
That's what I got.
All right.
I'll never tell.
So Darian, you make it home relatively unscathed. Both the kids appear to be in bed. So you have the house to yourself. What are you up to?
Magic. Darian is setting to work. He'll probably go to his other study first, to work on the one that's finished. I'm assuming that when I purchased the light, I probably would have purchased the materials needed to extract the bones, right?
I'll say yeah. Do you have Mage Hand?
I do not, actually.
You have Prestidigitation though?
I do.
Yeah, you'll be able to get the bones out, clean them off pretty easily.
Cool. So he'll extract from the one barrel, the one that is complete. He'll reach into the bag of holding and deposit the third. Did I fill the second barrel yet?
Yeah, you put a body in the second barrel.
Okay. So then the third is now setting. And I believe that means there's one more outside.
I believe there were only 3. Were there 3 or 4?
I thought we said
Does anyone remember?
I don't remember.
It might have been 4. It's been a while.
It
It's
has.
also been a long day for me. So
There, DM. Darian will
but sure, yeah.
head out to spend a bit more time than he did earlier that evening, to better clean what he can off the fourth one, and then stuff that in the bag, bring that inside, and then deposit that in the room as well.
Make a medicine check for me.
Yay for stopping. Medicine makes it a 23.
Okay. You're actually able to cut off a good majority of the excess from this body before putting in the lye. You'll probably only have a couple days. Maybe even a day.
Awesome. That I've already charged both of the crystals.
I am tempted, however, to make you make a morality roll as you carve into your fellow man to remove the meat. But I'll leave that to roleplay.
They did try to kill him.
Having fun, Hannibal.
As far as Darian knows, they were there to kill him. I could make a constitution check if you'd like. Does grody work? If that will satisfy the DM instead.
Nah, it's fine.
Okay.
I'm just thinking about karma systems is all.
It's fine. This is fine.
This is fine.
This is fine. Darian's going to go to his actual study and study for a bit. Write down things in his book. Look up other spells that he wishes to invest time in later when he gets to higher levels. And once it's significantly late enough, he'll decide to go to bed. And as he heads upstairs, he'll like peek into both rooms just to make sure they're both like asleep, just to check in on them, and then he'll head to bed.
All right. Yep, they're both asleep.
Also, now that the pit is empty, he would have spent the time to flatten that back out.
Fill it back in. That's wise. All right. You guys all eventually make your way to sleep. early the next morning, the sun wakens you, Rin, on a rooftop first, before you're made aware of it as well, Liberty. You still have about an hour, probably a little over, from your position in the city before you're able to make it back to the Ramtuk Manor. And you're probably going to want to hurry, as Najin did say that she was going to meet you all there in the late morning.
Slowly slide Chipper off of my lap. Oh, I'm not mute. Okay, good. Slip Chipper off of my lap, making sure to disturb him as little as possible and keep him nestled within the cuddle puddle so that he can stay asleep. And then pull up scarf over my hair and face and start making my way back.
All right. Rin, I assume you start making your way back as well.
I literally drop down next to her as she's walking out of the alley.
Fair enough.
A modest grace preserve me. Rin, is that completely necessary?
Yes, I had to get down.
You are a unique treasure.
Funny, most people just say I'm an asshole.
Those things are not always mutually exclusive.
That is true. I'm also fond of long walks on the beach and the Mamba number 5 shuffle.
I'm not making that one.
Nope.
That one's not sanctioned.
You made that one up. You made that one up.
What do you say? I missed it.
I tried to say Mambo number 5 and the Cupid shuffle at the same time.
I see now.
So it became the Mambo 5 shuffle.
And I said the Mambo number 5 shuffle, which is not a thing.
Not a thing. Not sanctioned.
I'm not familiar with this card game, but perhaps sometime you can teach me.
It's not a card game. It's a dance. I'm inventing it as we speak, so you should be proud.
I'm very proud of you and not a skilled dancer, so I may need to decline.
You don't need skill to play it. You don't need skill to dance. You just need a hearty belief and a pair of eyes that don't work, so that you can forget about all the people watching. Sometimes copious amounts of alcohol also work. But it's dealer's choice.
Oh. Well, we'd best get back before Najin gets there.
How do you feel about a nickname of the nickname Santa Claus?
For Najin?
It's been on my mind. No, for me. I feel like it fits. I seem like a jolly fellow, don't
I? You are quite merry. I don't know that I would say jolly.
That's fair. How about Krampus?
Somehow that feels more appropriate, but
I don't actually know what any of these words I'm saying mean, but it just feels right.
Yeah, it feels like you are making up names here, and they don't. Krampus sounds vaguely
menacing.
Kestrel, maybe. I was just saying it sounds like a foreign name of some sort.
I'm sure I've heard one of the dockhand at some point. They're always blathering on about things.
That could be. I don't know. But are you not satisfied with Rin as a name?
I have many names. Who's to say I can't add one more to the list?
Fair enough. Are you wanting us to call you Krampus?
We'll see. It might be a circumstantial thing, like Ezekiel.
I mean, to be fair, I have gone by many names myself.
My shock is audible. Hear me gasp. Oh, wait, sorry, I forgot to gasp. No.
Yes, I know, it is quite shocking. I, of all
Please tell
people.
me you're being sarcastic. I was
Yes, I
being
am
sarcastic.
being.
So I hope you recognize that fact and compound it.
I did recognize the sarcasm.
Oh,
Rin.
thank goodness. Whew. Be still, my beating. But not too still.
I was about to say, I would prefer that your head still continue to beat at least somewhat.
You are in the minority.
Well, to be fair, your blades have. I've mostly seen your blades acting in my defense rather than against me, so that's maybe why.
My blade, yes. My tongue, not so much. But then again, it bites everyone, including me sometimes. At least I'm good with my hand.
So, out of character, why are you like this? I can hear the hit points growing.
Shit.
Look at that. It broke 100 hit points.
Oh, no.
Oh, goody.
Ribs hurt. I was trying to hold that in.
As soon as he said tongue, I'm like, oh no, please let that be the. Oh, no, there he goes.
There he goes.
I really thought about just leaving it, but then I was sitting there like, I just can't.
There were two wolves inside of him, and both of them said, "Do it."
Wolves.
Meanwhile,
I don't have wolves. I've just got smaller gremlin versions of me.
what's the difference?
We're gonna go
Exactly.
with that one.
Meanwhile, at the Ramtuk Manor, Kelso, Dardian has woken. He can already smell coffee downstairs, although today's smells a little burnt. But the day is yours.
Okay.
You probably have a couple hours before Najin makes it to your place. So, what would you like to do in that amount of time?
My house is still more or less empty well, it's at least empty of the party members, so Darian will probably look around as he makes his way to his second study. And assuming
Did
that
you check the liquor cabinet?
I don't
You never know. Rin could be in any of those kitchen cabinets.
It's very true.
He
it's a
does
fair
change
point.
it up.
Darian will have a cup of burnt coffee first and take a glance from his cat. Stop it. I like this carpet. Knock it off.
Making your way through the kitchen, you do find Zafir, who is sleeping away over a pot of some sort of mash. He's making breakfast today. It's gonna be a rough day.
That checks out. Darian checks the cabinets.
Make an investigation check.
Pretending to look for something that's totally not Rin.
It's in your head.
Investigation. I'm gonna put it at 16.
It's working.
It's
16?
yes.
You don't seem to find him.
That you know of.
Darian kind of like glances side to side a bit more, and then decides to kind of shrugs, and then just walks off in the direction of it. Then takes another glance around before he enters the room.
Okay. You seem to be unfollowed.
Ooh, I love this character so much.
We're all just going to be paranoid for years to come. Even after Rin dies, everyone's going to be like, was it really him? Is he actually dead? Is he behind this cabinet?
No, it's just a mouse. Unless he is
You
the
meet
mouse.
a tiny little druid. You meet a tiny
Check
little
the
druid
cabinets.
gnome who, when we tell us some story about Rin, she goes, "Oh, I met him. I cast reincarnation. You'll meet him someday."
No.
You fool.
What have you done?
Darian
do it too.
would hear that and be like, no, you didn't.
you what?
Oh, gods, you've killed us all.
It The reaction would probably be equivalent to the cinematic version of the Goblet of Fire, where I love that you already understand that. Where
I love the specifications
Dumbledore
here. We're
very
already
calmly
angry.
asks Harry if he put his
God,
name in the Goblet of Fire.
It really is excellent.
Are you trying to get anything in particular done?
Other than try and deal with the smell a little bit and just check on the status of the soup of the day, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
The soup.
With the older soup, you probably have another day or two.
Okay.
With the newer soup, you probably have another day.
Okay.
Soup.
And then Darian heads back out into the kitchen and no, Darian heads into the backyard and does some gardening.
Okay. Rin and Liberty, you make it to Darian's place around 9:30, 10-ish. There is a distinct smell of burnt coffee in the house as you guys step inside.
Rin slips in through the kitchen window and dumps the coffee out of such same window and makes a new pot.
Go ahead and make a survival check.
Oh God!
For coffee making. Because if I can tell you anything,
The moment
shit.
Liberty.
everything in the kitchen.
We're rolling
everything in the
great
kitchen.
tonight. 21.
Hey!
I hope I
nice.
don't get into combat because I know this streak is not going to keep up.
You make a darn good pot of coffee.
I'm gonna be honest. When he said roll survival, I kind of thought it was going to be Zephyr getting a reflex when he notices him in the window. Just sucker punch to the bridge of the nose.
I make the coffee in the Japanese style.
Ooh, fancy.
Yes. No French press here.
The Hudsonian style is known in Cortiso, but rarely used.
Excellent.
Would I happen to recognize it later when I grab a cup of coffee?
It's just a different cup of coffee for you. You taste it and like it's good. You cannot believe Zephyr made this.
I don't believe that Zephyr made this. Darian
That's
looks
likely.
at Zephyr and like starts looking around because he figures that someone has to have entered the house because it's not the way she makes it, and so it has to be Liberty or Rin. I don't know where
you
Rin
can
is
see
at the
Liberty. Rin, who knows where he is?
Yeah, the moment Liberty smelled burnt coffee, there was mumbled grumbling under her breath. Maybe references to deities that are less friendly.
There's no sin worse than burnt coffee.
And I say that, and that's coming from me, who, out of character, hates coffee.
Amen. I can't.
Yeah,
stand
I
it.
don't.
So it's like to me, coffee.
I don't drink the coffee,
anyway.
but I enjoy the regular smell of coffee. So the burnt smell is just sad.
Meanwhile, I
Sad.
will drink as many cups as anyone will give me.
Good to know.
Right?
I drink a lot of coffee, guys.
The players will make a note of that.
We just got a new espresso machine. I am so happy.
He lives for the
Shauna just
simple.
goes.
He lives for the simple thing.
Darian takes a sip of the coffee and like looks down at it appreciatively, and then like looks over in Liberty's direction, and then like just kind of like doesn't address her, but like looks at her like almost inquisitively, and then just continues, and then goes back to his study.
She like looks at him kind of incredulously, like, "You're going to drink that?" Because she still smells the burnt coffee.
Mm-hmm. Zephyr from the other side of the table from you, Liberty, takes a sip of the coffee, spits it back into the cup, and He's very confused.
Does a second spit take.
Oh.
Few minutes later, unless there's any roleplay you guys would have together.
Not
Rin has
really.
sequestered himself into another cabinet.
Okay.
Liberty will go into the kitchen to get herself some tea.
Does that happen to be the cabinet that Rin is in?
It does, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, he tends
That was
to
not
frequent
intentional,
the
but
tea
perfect.
cabinet. You were handed your tea
She just
by
needs an alternative
an
to
arm.
vodka.
You open the door, and there's just two golden eyes staring at you out of the darkness, and a pale white hand extends a tea bag in your direction.
Just it looks like cat's eyes in the middle of the night. While
She
you're walking down the
lifts it
street.
up and I was actually hoping for something with a bit more spices, something with some cinnamon in it.
The tea bag slowly withdraws back into the cabinet, and then another arm comes out with a different tea bag.
I think it's above your right horn. Yes, thank you.
Meow.
The second hand retreats because she didn't want that one either. The tail comes out with a third one. Thank you.
The meow just gets it. I'm pretty sure that's racist. Takes finally the correct
tieflings.
Baxi.
Meh.
And then she takes her tea and fixes herself a cup.
And that you do. You fix yourself a cup of tea. Pretty close to the end of your tea making, however, Darian, from the main room, you do hear the front door.
Darian's gonna go to answer it. I will say though that before Darian had sat down, since he had probably heard some of that conversation, he would like very lightly answer that it's actually more of a chattering. Referring to meow.
Instead of meow, it should be a chattering.
It's more of a chatter. And then when the door knocks, Darian gets up to go answer it.
Okay. Najin is there with a couple of guards. Good morning, Mr. Remtuk.
Jean, welcome. How are you?
Well, yourself?
Quite.
May I enter?
Please.
Vampire.
She steps in.
What do you say?
It is good courtesy to ask if you can come in.
Vampire.
Forge.
Oh.
She's a vampire. She's a vampire, confirmed.
Is the rest of the team here?
Yes, they are in the kitchen. The
Liberty
lady
is
in
just
red. That's
walking
why
out of the kitchen with a. Liberty's just walking out of the kitchen with her cup of tea and sees Najin and Keeper Najin, would you care for a cup of tea?
She takes a few sniffs. Coffee would be better if you have it.
Yes,
I
the coffee is
see
quite
what
good
we
today.
have left. Liberty looks at Darian very quizzically because his description is not matching what she smells. Yes,
Darian
I will
kind of
see what
shrugs
we
because
have
he
for
doesn't know what's
coffee.
happening either.
He's not as coffee obsessed, so he doesn't know why this is an important distinction. And I will turn around and walk back into the kitchen.
Okay.
No, he understands the confusion. He doesn't know what's happening in the house either right now. Darian's
So
gonna
I'll
start.
take 2 cups.
Darian's gonna start.
Which of us
trying
is
to clear
going
out
first?
the smell. No, he is trying to clear out the smell right now with prestidigitation.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fair. Najin will ask you, Darian, is there a preferred place to have a meeting of this sort?
If you go around the corner, we have a nice table. You can sit that down.
Thank you much. And she'll walk into the house with her guards and begin setting out some maps, some forms, stuff like that.
Liberty's gonna take 2 cups, and with the first one, put just like a splash of coffee in it, smell it, taste it.
It tastes
Find
really
out.
good.
No. I'm not the works miracles in all forms, I suppose. And then take the clean cup, pour a cup for Najin, and Rin, our guest is here. Did you want to join?
I'll get there.
Meeting?
I'm busy being mourned. I'm busy mourning the fact that I've been compared to a miracle.
Most
compared to a what? Sorry, by audio.
Miracle.
Oh, you made the coffee. You have my gratitude. Did you want a cup as well?
No, I don't drink coffee.
Well, I am even more thankful that you were so selfless in your generosity. And
Yeah,
I
that's a
will
word
take
for
a
it.
cup of coffee to keep on Najin.
Okay. She'll take the coffee, and as you all begin to make your way to the table, Rin, I assume that you are actually making your way to the table.
Yeah.
Okay. As you guys are all sitting down, she will take a sip of it, just kind of raise her eyebrows. What's singing? Speaking. Well, I did some research and believe that I have the most effective job for all of you. I have been informed through different avenues that there is much talk in the slave trade circles about a new tool that they are planning on using. From what I can gather, it is something that was dug up in the ruins of Salt. And for those of you who have lived in Hutseng for Ohari for the longer time, campaigns are getting mixed up, guys.
Yeah.
For those of you who have lived in the Ohari for a longer period of time, the runes of Salt are a vast part of the desert as a whole. That's pretty much on the farther eastern side of the desert from where you are. And it's just a plain of salt.